Hi, I'm Roberto Martinez and you're watching Toffee TV.
Welcome back to Toffee TV with me, Peter McFarlane, Barry Cass, joined by Dave Bond from the Winslow. We are back in the glorious Winslow Hotel. It's fantastic to be back, isn't it? We've got some positive news to talk about. It's been a while. We've done a couple of Google Hangouts this week. Make sure you keep an eye on them on Toffee TV, on our website, on Twitter as well. We want you involved, want to get the fans involved. We had a fan last week from LA. We had a fan from Brazil on the Google Hangout, letting us know what they thought of everything going on at Everton. Fantastic stuff. That's what we want. Fans from all over the world getting in touch with us. It is nice, as I say, to be back, having something positive to talk about. We talked last week about West Ham on the Google Hangout, our first good result for a while, and it's followed this weekend by another good result. Before we talk about that, before we talk about the Man City game, Romelu Lukaku, who's commenting the week, Baz, he mentioned that Everton had decided to go a little bit more direct, a little bit more long ball, a little bit playing more to his strengths. What were your initial thoughts when you heard that?
I was quite pleased, to be honest with you. It's one of the things that we've been banging on about, haven't we, about our play being too slow, and we just needed something to change. I think it was just getting all too predictable for us, and really slow, and the crowd was starting, I wouldn't say the crowd were turning, but getting very frustrated, very quickly into games. So I think we'd said on either on text or whatever between each other, they need to have some kind of meeting and change this up, because certainly that period over Christmas, for starting at Southampton, everything's the same, wasn't it? Slow, there was nothing, there was no spark, players looked dead on the feet, and just glad that they've had, the courage to speak up, I suppose. I mean, Martinez has tried to play it down, as he said, they have these chats all the time. But there's been, since they've had that, the so-called meeting, we've looked like the meeting. We've looked like a different side, so, it's positive.
Dave, I mean, obviously, we've had the bad spell over the last month or so. I mean, you run the pub, you run the Winslow. What's been the atmosphere in here over Christmas? Because obviously, we can only talk from our point of view, being in the ground, but we're coming in here before matches and after matches. You must have felt maybe uneasy at times, maybe?
It's not uneasy, it just seemed to be more the same. I mean, basically, our business, from a business point of view, it's completely relative to results.
Of course, yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, there's not more people drowning in the sorrows?
No, not at all. No, I mean, I know for myself personally, if I went to see a game, and most of the games where we still are dominating position and getting beat by 2 or 3 goals, because we get as far as our teams are doing is pushing up and defending high up the pitch, and we can't break them down. But it's muted. It's definitely muted afterwards. You come in here and you play. You're not playing to your strengths. You're dominating position and you're getting beat, and it's not a good feeling for fans.
So not as much Guinness getting sold.
No, I mean it has an adverse effect on trade for sure.
But how did the people though feel when they come here? Are they was it feeling, was it getting worse every week?
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much.
Any mannish outshouts?
No.
Well, that's a positive thing at least.
No. I think that is a minority which seem to come across. It's online, isn't it?
And drink somewhere else, obviously.
Facebook and Twitter,
don't drink in
I won't mention
the Winslow.
names, but there is one.
Don't give them the advertising. Just don't give them the advertising. Moving on to the Manchester City game. I think we were all buoyed by the West Ham late rally.
I think you said before it was a good result. It wasn't a good result. It was just the fact.
I think we all felt it was a good result at the time.
I did.
Well, that's because you expect.
Expect better.
You were there in 1970. You seen
1970, sure.
You seen the Holy Trinity. You were there.
Stop it. I just expect better. But it was good. What was good about the West Ham thing was when we were going to go down, how they responded. And obviously, Lukaku's late goal gave us that little bit of belief that maybe something was going to change.
So moving on to the Manchester City game, obviously it was quite similar lineup, which I think something we've been calling for as well. John Stones into the back four as well, which is something positive, something we were all, we couldn't wait, could we? Ever since he went off against Manchester United, we couldn't wait for the day John Stones come back and looked fully fit. So that was a positive. McGeady coming in from Morelos as well. Morelos hasn't looked right recently and has come out and said he's had an injury. But the spine was there, and I think we all took a little bit of heart from that, because the chopping and changing, it hasn't done anyone any good, I think.
I think, people look around and look surprised, or you you know, there's loads of pundits and loads of the media like to give their opinion on it, why Everton are where they are. But I think if you actually look at the season, the way it's gone, obviously, you know, we said pre-season, banging on about it again, pre-season wasn't great. The amount of injuries Everton have had this season, you know, you can't always blame injuries. You know, teams talk about 2 or 3 players and the season's disrupted. Everton have had probably what Roberto Martinez would consider his 1-2-11 all out injured at some stage, and you can't keep chopping and changing the side. If you're losing players like John Stones for 3 months, James McCarthy for 3 months, you know, Ross Barkley for 3 months, Lukaku's been on, the keeper's out, your centre halves, it's gonna have some kind of effect. And if you put that all together and throw it into a team that's got no form either, you know, you're gonna lose games, and that's what's happened. And I think what we've got to remember is it's very easy over Christmas to get downhearted because there was 4 games in a short space of time. Okay, we lost all of them, which was shocking, but that's bit. You know, when we lost to Tottenham at the end of November, I think it was either our 3rd or our 4th defeat, and that was it. You know, we played Hull here, and that was the first time I think I felt people turning a little bit or getting a little bit frustrated because Hull were shocking that night. We couldn't beat them.
Yeah, weak sides taking points.
But then a week later, we beat QPR going to Southampton. You're thinking, all right, we can win a couple of these games, we'll be, you know, top half and chasing it. And unfortunately, it went the other way. But like you say, getting important players like Stones back in there, you know, and getting that spine, getting a bit of solidity into that side, and everyone digging in together, that's how we're going to turn it around. And we've had to.
You mentioned John Stones, David. Dave, I mean, John Stones, I mean, obviously before he got injured, he was so important to the side. And I think early on in the season, when it was Distan and it was Jagielka together, we all felt that partnership would come to an end, and John Stones needed to come into the side. But not only that, I think when John Stones plays, I think Seamus Coleman looks a better player. I think he looks more comfortable. I think John Stones creates better angles, but we'll get a little bit technical now. He creates better angles on the pitch for him, and Coleman feels a lot more comfortable getting up the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, John Stones is a great ball player and a great passer, and I've been saying for a long time we should play 3 at the back with him.
We did that over Christmas.
I know we did.
Stones didn't play that.
With Stones and 2 centre halves, but just concentrate on Stones for a second. Yeah, he does play well out the back, and he's predominantly right-footed, so he's going to send Coleman on his way, and Coleman does feel he can go forward because Stones can cover that position. Can cover his right back position when he goes forward. I think Coleman's problem going forward is linking up with whoever's in front of him.
Who's that? So,
well,
we generally don't have anyone.
We don't. One week it's McGeady, next week it's Morales. You know, I don't know.
I think the big thing for the way Everton want to play John Stones is massively important. I think we've got Jagielka, who's a good defender, but even at the top of his game isn't a ball player. This time looks like his best days are behind him. Alcaraz, is anyone slower in the Premier League? I've not seen him. Obviously good on the ball.
He's good at nutmegging people though.
Well, yeah, he's good at putting his arm up and not running back with players as well. But, you know, the only player, put it this way, he's the only player who Nikita Jelavic can leave for dead. You know, I like Nicky.
And leaves him on side.
He just left them and he sprinted. He made Jelavic look quick. But so John Stones is vital to the way Martinez wants Everton to set up because he actually knows how to play with the ball rather than just do a skip before he kicks it like Mr. Distan.
Yeah. Now going into the game, I still felt there was a nervousness around Goodison. The crowd were a little bit quiet. I think people were just waiting for that goal to go in at times. I think, to be fair, a lot of the team were waiting for that goal to go in as well. And the more Man City chances that were missed, I just felt Everton grew more and more into the game because I think there was about 3 within a very short period. Navas and Jogovic, I think, missed a couple, put basically 3 shots in the same place. And I felt the team grew and grew, and as we've seen later on, Everton started to create chances. Seamus Coleman getting forward as well, putting that ball in for Lukaku. Fantastic save from Joe Hart, and then Seamus sees one bounce off the crossbar. And going into half-time, 0-0, I think that lifted the whole place. And going into the second half, wind, rain, Goodison got up a little bit, and it all just seemed to click together a little bit more into the second half.
I think when you're playing a side like Manchester City, who've been on a great run, it's easy to, you know, I had a couple of people saying, well, as long as we don't get hammered, I was confident because obviously our record's fantastic against them here. Only last year when we didn't want to win for whatever reason. I can't remember why, but it was only, you know, I think Man City give you a chance. And I think as good as they are going forward, they give you a chance. And I think what Everton kind of done well on Saturday was, even when City had the ball, they made sure they got bodies in the way. And the 3 chances you're talking about were all our mistakes.
Yeah.
You know, the first one's come, Coleman's dropped the shoulder in there half and then tried to go past another player instead of just giving, you know, a simple ball. Jagielka's let him bounce off his knee and put them clean through. So it was a couple of Everton mistakes and they missed them. And I think you're right. I think from that moment people thought, well, hang on, you know, we could easily, in other games, one of them had deflected and we'd have been behind. Yeah. I think when you're losing games and when you're not playing well, everything seems to go against you, and then it's hard to react from that moment. It's the same when you win it. When we were on a great run last year, you know, we got goals against like Cardiff and it hit Coleman's knee or shin or whatever and loops over the keeper. Things like that run for you. It's the polar opposite when things are going against you. So I think we grew into the game, and you're right, Joe Hart's made an absolute worldie from Lukaku right on our time. Coleman's at the bar, and from that moment going in there, you think, we're in this game, and these know that, you know, we're dangerous going forward, and that continued into the second half.
And as we talked about before, Dave, the style was a lot changed, wasn't it? Lukaku looked like he was getting more and more of the ball, and, you know, every time you run at those two at the back, you felt like something positive was going to happen, and that just hasn't happened enough this season. And now we're playing to his strengths, certainly in the last 2 games, it looks so much better, and he generally hits the target as well, something I've said all season about Lukaku. People have moaned about him all season, but if you give that lad chances, he will nearly every single time. I think he's got the highest in the Premier League for hitting the target, so the more we can do that, the more chance obviously we're going to have of winning games.
I mean, we have to play totally to Lukaku's strengths. There's no point having him on the pitch unless we play to his strengths. I mean, using the weight or over the top to play the ball on him so he can run on it. Because when he's fit back to goal with 2 or 3 defenders behind him, he might as well not even be on the pitch, pretty much, you know. So, yeah, it's all, if we're going to play Lukaku, we've got to play that way. That's the only way, which means basically going back to basics. You know, up the wing, pass it in, over the top. But like you say, he will get us goals. He will get us goals.
Which obviously has already. And it's not just long ball, though, is it? It's just playing faster. That's all it is for me. You can still play all the football, all the good football, but it's got to be snappier.
We also always tend to raise our game and play well against the top teams, regardless of how bad our form is. We come up against Man United, Man City, Arsenal, or the other crowd across the park. We will play decent. We may get beat, but we put in a shift. It's the lesser teams will catch us out.
Well, I think we see the evidence of it against West Ham now, who certainly are a bigger team, are they? But I think the problem is with Lukaku is he just gets, I won't say he gets bored, but when I was a striker playing up front, and if you're not getting the ball, you do stop doing the things that the team needs you to do, because you get frustrated because you're not getting chances. And I think playing the way we played against West Ham and giving them that opportunity to have shots and to run at players boosts your confidence. So you want to go and do all the ugly things then that you should be doing anyway, which is running into channels with people, getting your body in the way, keeping hold of it. And it's no coincidence that we've given him a few more chances, let him off the ball a little bit quicker, and he started to look like Romelu Lukaku that we know, whereas he was a shadow of himself.
Talking about that, there was an instance in the second half where he got that chance, which again, great chance, hard me to say, and he started it by heading the ball down to Ross Barkley, and we haven't seen that enough of him.
But he didn't just head it and stand, he got on his bike with it.
Yeah, there's a lot more of just getting in the box, not getting in and around the box, which is something we've not just been critical of Romelu Lukaku. Any striker Everton have had in the last 10 years have always found this, where they're the ones who are doing all the work outside the box, and that's not where we want them, obviously. But you're talking about getting back to basic. One player that we have got who's, for me, really helped us get back in there is Mo Besic. A lad who will put his foot in all day. Okay, he is guilty of misplacing passes, cutting passes a little bit short, maybe giving the wrong pass. But when you need a tackle, when you need someone putting his body in the line, he's always there. And that was evident on Saturday in the first half when he lost possession on the edge of the area. It helped City break, but he was the person who slid in and stopped Silva getting a shot in and goal. So, I mean, how important do you think he's been in the last few weeks?
He's been brilliant. I mean, I think I've been impressed with him every time he's played, to be honest with you. I think he's grown the last couple of games because he's just getting used to it. Don't forget, this is a lad that's come from Hungary, the Hungarian League, and if we've got any Hungarian followers, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but it's not the Premier League, is it? You know, so it's a little bit slower, and it's took time to get in there, but I I'd love to see him in there with James McCarthy, just for that, the amount of pitch that he covers him. He's very good on the ball, very good on the ball. He's a nasty little player as well, and he likes to...
But he's not malicious. I don't think he's malicious.
He just lets you know he's there, doesn't he? He lets you know he's there. There was one second half where he's running with, I think it was David Silva, and I thought he took the ball, to be fair. He took a bit of him as well, but the referee gave a free kick, and he done his best Bosnian hitman impression, didn't he, with a couple of slams into the tail.
Living up to all his tattoos.
Oh, his tattoos.
But
no,
that's
he's been really good.
But that's what you need, isn't it? You need a little bit of bite. And over the last few weeks, I've had, not arguments, I would say, discussions with some Blues out there who seem to think the idea of the school of science, this motto we always go back to, is football and nothing else, just pass, 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 pass. And I referred a few of them to videos of the 85 team, and you can't tell me that the likes of Peter Reid, Paul Bracewell, all of them basically didn't like leaving a little bit on the other team. They played great football, but they also could play the other way, and that to me is Everton. What I seen second half on Saturday was more of a proper school of science.
You can play all the football that you want. You've just got to be competitive. Arsenal, the Invincibles, played some of the greatest football you'll ever see, but telling me Vieira and Petit and people like that didn't know how to leave a foot in. Of course we did. Manchester United over the years. You don't get to be in a top side without being able to mix it. It's great being lovely to watch, 500-600 passes, but 600 passes across your penalty area isn't going to win you any kind of game, and I think what you've got to do is mix it. And I think you can do that. Everton can still set out with that philosophy of want to dominate the ball. I think that's, for me, it's the right way to play. But it's not the right way to play when you've got to pass on that may be a long one. You've got 2v2 up front, and yet you'll go back to your goalkeeper before you give it to the likes of Lukaku, or you let Barkley drive on with it. And the only way to arrest what's been going on is for the players to roll the sleeves up. I've been quite critical of people who just want to lay the blame at Martinez's door and say, it's all because of him where we are. He doesn't cross the white line. He can, whether you agree with him, like him, don't like him, or his training methods, then players forget the fact that they're getting paid a lot of money. You should have personal pride and roll your sleeves up. You're not telling me Southampton are better than Everton, West Ham are better than Everton, these teams who are above us. Because even that shower over the park are nowhere near as good as us on our day. But they'll all mix it. We've been walking around with whatever's gone on behind closed doors.
Feeling sorry for ourselves.
That's it, and now the likes of best, it's 95 when Joe Royle come in and we were on our knees. What got us out of it? The likes of Barry Orme putting his foot in, and John Everell and Joe Parkey giving a little bit and getting everyone united, Big Duncan. And that's the way, if you can't do it by your footballing principles, be tough to beat. And I think that's what's happening.
And we've said as well, leaders are so important, and that's what Mo Vesage seems to be doing, he's trying to lead. But it brings me on to two players that I want to talk about for the same reasons, just for different ways. Stephen Naismith pops up, gets the equalising goal. Every game you see him in, he gives you 100%, no matter what, no matter where he's playing, no matter how he's playing, he'll give you it. For me, he's not someone who's blessed with absolute talent. He's someone who's worked all his career for what he's got. Whether it was when he moved from Kilmarnock to Rangers, going from a smaller team to one of the biggest teams in Europe, really, let's say that. He had to work, he fought for that. When he left Rangers to come to Everton, he had the cloud hanging over him of the free transfer. Was it free? Was it not? He'd had this knee injury. He fought and fought. He had to fight to get the Everton fans on his side. And he did that. It was all down to hard work and being in the right place at the right time a lot of the times, because he scores a lot of big games, doesn't he? Now, on the opposite of that, you've got Ross Barkley, who has just got everything as a footballer. But it feels like he's been given it so much. He's a modern day footballer. Okay, he's had to come back from a couple of leg breaks, which obviously, that must have been really, really tough. But he's a modern day footballer. He's at the club he loves. He's been given everything. He passed his driving test and walked straight into a Range Rover. Do you know what I mean? That's a modern day footballer. And you watch Ross, and this is the frustration I think a lot of fans feel is, unless he's got the ball, he's not working for it. But Naismith's the other way round. When he hasn't got the ball, he works to get that ball back. He does all the nasty little things that you've got to do as a team. What you've just been talking about there, dogs of war stuff. And there's a frustration in that, isn't there, with fans, because they see what Ross has got and go, if you could just put that little bit of effort in when you haven't got the ball, you would be the complete player.
The two aspects of Naismith's game, work rate and positioning. He's always in the right, not always, because a lot of times he's in the right place at the right time. There are two things that Ross Barkley doesn't have, right? His work rate, he does go to sleep, and he's often cut out of position.
Yeah, I would agree to a certain extent with what you're saying. I think Ross, I wouldn't say he's had it easy. I think if you actually look into it, he hasn't had it, honestly he hasn't. However, he's blessed with all the talent in the world. Doesn't run back. People run off him, he just jogs and he should be busting the gut. I think the problem you've got, I think with Stephen, because he's a bit older, and he knows, I think you're right, I think some players are blessed with it and others work really hard, and you blur the lines. Tim Cahill, so as a footballer, for me, it's shocking. Really, ability-wise, he can know Ross Barkley, but one of my favourite ever players of all time, simply because goal, always turned up in the big games, always give you everything he's got, leave everything on the pitch, he'll get in people's faces for his teammates. Stephen Naismith, very, very similar. Yeah. Even though he's probably a little bit cleverer than Timmy in terms of he can see a pass, he's not, never going to be 4 or 5 men and do what Ross can. Naismith's very, very important. I think Ross Barkley at the moment, I don't think he knows where he's playing. And I think one criticism of David Bobby this season is that he's tried to overcomplicate Ross. He should have just put him where he knows best, off Lukaku. Naismith, even though he can play in that role, I think when he plays in the number 10 and Barkley's shoved wide, I think you're wasting 2 players there because you get in each other's way and things. I think Stephen can play wide. I don't think he could a couple of years ago because I don't think people trusted him. But now every fan loves him because he does, exactly what you're getting off him. And I think the only way to get the best out of Ross is to put him off Lukaku with a little bit less responsibility, say. Have a couple of lads in behind him. But you're right, Ross he's got to learn to do the ugly side.
Because that work rate, that's what's going to drive him on to be one of the best, isn't it? Because if you look at players like Messi and Ronaldo, 2 players who were up for, the Ballon d'Or, you look at Ronaldo and you see what he looked like when he signed for Manchester United. He was a scrawny little kid with all the tricks in but had all the tricks in the box, didn't he, Ronaldo? He had to lose some of those tricks, had to start on the work rate, and he is now the complete player. And you're right, Bale, since he went to Real Madrid, again, you look at the size of him from one season to the next, and he's like that.
Well, he's someone who, when he was at Spurs, don't forget they tried to get rid of him for £3.5 million quid, to Birmingham, I think it was at the time, and it didn't happen. And even when he was scoring all those goals for Spurs, you were kind of thinking, is this just one of those seasons where everything he's gone in, but got his move to Madrid and he's gone up another level. His physique now is incredible, and Ross has got that anyway. He's naturally got that physique. Without the hard work, you're never going to go to that next level unless, obviously... But it's going to make him a better player as well, isn't it? Like, not just a better player defensively, but a better player going forward. Because if he's winning the ball back, then he's going to have more chances to attack other sides.
I mean, if he ups his work rate.
Yeah, he puts it in.
He's got. I mean, I don't see why he's not doing it. Like you actually hit on the point that maybe he doesn't know his best, but he's been played out of position so many times that his own confidence is down a little bit. Even a player of his ability, because he is been played left, he's been played right, but you're right. He should be behind. The only place you can play him is in the ball behind his right.
I mean, I don't get me wrong. It's not a massive criticism as a lad. I mean, I just think he's young, he's inexperienced, and he'll learn that. The reference I'm referring to is you can see Naismith's had to fight for everything he's ever got in football, and some younger players, they don't necessarily have that drive because they've never had to fight for anyone. Ross has had to fight for coming back from a serious injury, but it is noticeable. You mentioned Tim Cahill, there are players who had to come over from Australia, he's had to come to Millwall, he's had to learn to fight, he got his move, and then learn to become one of the top players in the Premier League because he just fought for everything.
Players do, there's no question about it, they do get it to it. I mean, we've seen the case where there's a lad across the park that's had to go and have a holiday in Jamaica because he's a little bit tired, he wants to try doing a real job for 40 hours plus a week and doing it, but that's what young players are like. We've got a tweet here from Phil Howarth who was saying what's happened with Barkley, when will we see him in that number 10 role for us again, and what are you saying when he works out?
Well, that's the question. That's the million-dollar question.
That's his best position.
But that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? That's up to Roberto Martinez to find a balance in his side, because that's what he just doesn't seem to have at the moment. A balance. He doesn't seem to have enough fit players to say, you go on the number 10, you go right wing, you go left wing. You know, we're seeing that with Morales at the moment as well. Everyone's saying, well, why isn't he playing? Comes out, he says he's got an injury. I suppose that's the big problem at the moment. It's fitting all these players in the way you want them to fit in. So we'll wait and see on that. Just finally on this game, I wanted to just mention obviously the goalkeeping situation has been up in the air for a while, and there's rumours out there of looking at a new goalkeeper, and Roberto Martinez has said he's inquired with players, but there's nothing definite. Robles for me on Saturday, I thought he was a lot better, a lot more comfortable. Okay, he didn't have that too much to face, but distribution-wise, looks a lot better than Tim Howard, and maybe that's part of the reason why Martinez is a little bit more comfortable with Everton playing longer balls over the top.
Maybe. I mean, you know what? I've kind of defended him against people who don't rate him because we haven't seen enough of him. Simply, you know, we're putting a goalie in once every 6 months and for one game. You know, and as far as I can remember, he's made the odd mistake, but Tim Howard was making 2 of them a game, you know, recently. So I think a 22-year-old goalkeeper is a lot different than a 22-year-old midfielder or a striker, say, because game-wise, game time, you know, you've got to give him those games to grow into. And I think he came in against, Newcastle he played, he didn't have a great game, or Hull, but I think against West Ham, he was a lot better. And Saturday, took everything he had to deal with, made a good stop from Nasri, I think, near the end. Took a lot of crosses, couldn't do too much about their goal. It was a big deflection as usual, you know, at the moment. I think he's okay. I think if we can get another one in there as well, then, you know, something for him to vie for that number 1 place. I think Tim Howard needs either a kick up the backside or maybe a trip back to America and get back to that league. I'm not sure, you know, we need something to spark him back into form because he was certainly below what we expected Tim Howard anyway. Definitely,
The rumour going around was David Marshall.
David Marshall is the rumour going around, but Cardiff have revealed today he's got an injury, he's going to be out for a month, so that's probably scuppered that at the moment. But Roberto Martinez has said he does want a goalkeeper, so I suppose that's the most important thing. He hasn't dismissed that out of hand. So I suppose that gets more rumours started, because then people think if he wants a long-term goalkeeper, then how does Tim Howard's future fit into that?
Definitely, but I think he's right to do that. Tim Howard's 37, isn't he? And you know, you've got to start addressing it. If he's truly talking about taking Everton forward and building this team that's going to be for the next 5 or 6 years, you've got to address the likes of Silva and this, you know, Tim Howard. Maybe Jags is 32 now, getting on a bit. You know, this is where the likes of Garbett and people like this young centre half, maybe Galloway, maybe bring another one in. But you start with your goalkeeper, you know, and Marshall was one he was keen on, but obviously Cardiff have revealed Everton were aware of an injury last week, so that's gone to pot a little bit. The kid at QPR now, Alex McCarthy, who's at Reading, I quite like him, he's really good. Someone said to me, Lindegaard at United today, it's another good shot, he's another good goal, he's 25 I think, big frame, you know, so it's someone who's going to come in and be able to take the gloves out, either sit on a bench for now because Joel's doing well, or who's going to come in as the preferred number 1 and we go again from there, I suppose. Sorry for saying we go again, it sounded like
just finding the goalkeeper as well. Joel has come in and said he's growing, and it reminds me slightly of De Gea when he went to United. I'm not saying he's as good as De Gea at all, but when De Gea went in there, he was quite rocky at first. And you mentioned Lindegaard in there. When he used to play sides that offered a more physical presence up front, he used to drop De Gea and play Lindegaard. So who knows? Joel could eventually be that long-term solution. I think it's about gaining confidence from not only the players in the team, but obviously the fans as well. You know, maybe a run of 10 games, we'll see the best one, because I think Roberto Martinez revealed that Tim Howard is going to be out probably for 5 to 7 weeks, so there's going to be a lot of games in between that. Moving on from the Manchester City game, just got time for some of your tweets on Twitter. Any good ones standing out, Baz?
Got a few, obviously these are, you know, Colin Linnett has said, preferred midfield when McCarthy is back, should Barry be dropped or rested? So
it's in Barry's contract, isn't it? He plays
every game, injured or not.
Allegedly.
I mean, I think we'd all say that, you know, we'd like to see how a midfield of Bessett, McCarthy and Barkley would coach, you know, as a three. I'm not saying, I thought Gareth Barry played quite well Saturday, to be fair to him, but I think it's just strange when you talk about resting younger players and Gareth Barry.
Resting or senior
exactly, at Blue Nose 19611, transfers, selections, injuries, talk about transfers. Physio's department, just a quick one.
I've no idea. I've no
caused a big stir.
I've no idea. it's all these little things at the moment, isn't it? You see physios leaving, you hear this room, you hear that room, you hear your changing room disruption, you hear all these little rumours, and it all just plays into the paranoia of being a football club that is 3 points above the drop zone. That's the problem.
Lost possession is the best one. You can't.
Who knows?
You can't lose possession. You can't get it.
It's over there.
It's just there.
It's over there. But who knows? But that, I mean, we won't know. That's the thing of
social media makes it even worse, doesn't it? Dave, this is for you at Matty2733. Does McGeady have anything to offer the team?
You looked at that to me, wouldn't you? He's too inconsistent.
But he's always been inconsistent.
I know he's always been inconsistent, yeah, but I just don't. And you can't play him every game. And if you don't play him every game, you say then he's going. I just put my hands up and say no.
You know what
I've been following him for years, playing for Ireland and everything. He's the same with us, you know.
I just wish he'd beat the man across the ball and then he'd be slammed for
He is a proper Peter Bailey player, except he hasn't got the backflips.
If you haven't got backflip, you haven't got...
Well, he doesn't score any goals to do backflips, that's probably another reason.
It's for you, Per, that Ricochet McNulty, what a name by the way. Has Bobby swallowed his pride and has that helped us?
Well, of course it's helped us. I know he swallowed his pride, it's just, but the simple fact is, if something hadn't changed, we were only going one way. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, if you keep on doing something the same way, you're going to have the same results, aren't you? And you know, they were defeats, simple as that. So I'm glad there's been a slight change of what, you know, direction. I don't think it's too much of a change, and to be honest, we're actually playing more like we did last season now. For me, I think what may have happened is Roberto Martinez may have thought we could move on to the next stage now. We can go ultra football. We can go, you know, and it just simply doesn't work because he hasn't had the players due to injuries.
He needs to take out the Barca DVD.
He does.
We've got that perfect 11. This is the hardest one I'll ask both of you. From @Joe McKibben 1878. Positives of the season so far. Dave, we'll start with you. That's the pet.
Go to pet first. Don't think you're one.
Positives. Just give me 2.
Wolfsburg.
Great.
It was great.
Yeah.
I was drunk.
You like his German beer. Give us a real
positives. Mo Besic, I think, has been fantastic so far. So far this season, he's a definite bonus for the season. And what it shows is you can go out there, spend £2 million, give a player a little bit of time to get into a side, get used to the Premier League, get used to his surroundings, and it can come off. And I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to see us go out and spend money on maybe a few players that, not necessarily household names. We've seen the likes of Southampton go out there. Okay, they may have spent a little bit more than they'd like to because they've got it. But that's what we need, I think, a few more players that are going to come in and get us going a little bit.
Yeah, I'd have to go along with Besic Johnson and possibly Luke Garbutt. I mean, he hasn't had much game time, but when he has played, he's looked exceptional. And hopefully he does get a run at some point, whether it be left mid or left back. But definitely.
And obviously the Europa League run as well, fantastic. You know, we're in there.
I'm still very much in that.
We're still very much in it.
Roberts, I mean, okay, if Howard didn't get injured, he wouldn't have his chance, and maybe he just needs his chance to prove, you know. I wouldn't say he's a positive just yet, but it's going to right.
Let me ask the last question then, but I'm going to have to rephrase it. This is from Johnny H. Bauer, who says, how do you stop these bleep 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 spreading bleep 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 on Twitter? Because this is
What's bleep bleep bleep?
Well, it's
the second bleep bleep.
It's spreading, I would say, rumours. Because
right.
we've heard so much. Only just over the weekend, we've had Coleman, we've had Etu, we've had McCarthy, we've had people. We've had Martin Keown saying Barkley should go to Liverpool. We've had Joey Barton saying John Stones should go to Arsenal, and some people can just switch off. That is the worst.
That seems to West Ham as well as here today. That seems to West Ham.
You know, but I think some fans it doesn't affect them at all. But I think what annoys me is it actually has it's a cycle, isn't it? Because it gets out there, it gets on Twitter, it starts the panic, and then people take that into going to the match and the paranoia of just following the football club. And let's not get this wrong. Newspaper people go on Twitter and they watch what people say, and the next minute it finds itself in a newspaper, and it's rumours become fact and fact becomes rumour, and it all cycles through social media. So I think the best thing to do is just listen to what the club say sometimes, and if something happens, it happens. What can you do? You can't stop it, We're all used to players leaving our club, whether we want them to or they want to. And let's be honest, if someone says, oh, James McCarthy's leaving Everton, oh, that can't be happening, but then we're all there going, David Marshall, let's go and sign him. So we're as guilty, we're as guilty as everyone else is.
Half the thing with the press is you never let the truth get in the way of a good story, and everyone's got to just accept that. And look, I think the thing with Everton is our players seem to get picked on more than anybody else. The media just look at us and go, they sell stuff. You need money. That's still the perception. So they'll sell Stones. Let Barkley go to Liverpool, McCarthy go to United, and we never the other way. They don't go. Sturridge will go to Everton, and he'll come to United or whatever. But you've just got to, like you say.
The other side of it as well is, if you look at it at the moment, it's not just newspapers that need to be filled. It's radio shows, video shows, podcasts, and that's just me. So everyone else out there, they've got all these things to fill, and if there isn't content, they'll create content. Oh, Google Hangouts as well. Again, that's just us, right? Yeah. I think we've done this to death, obviously. Dave, thanks for being here. Well, obviously you've got to be here because you've got to open the pub for it.
Go on, Dave.
Go on. What is your we're going to have to do the Winslow special of the week. What is the Winslow special
like a
of
little
the week?
bit of music around it. Jazzy music.
We're doing an early bird special now for every home game, which finishes 2 hours before kick-off. So if it's a 3 o'clock kick-off, finishes at 1. And we're going to reduce prices on all drinks, well, selected drinks, which is me and the other. And we're also bringing in bacon sandwiches for breakfast as well.
150 for a bacon sandwich?
Well, it might be, leave the price out.
You're going to be
sure. We're not sure the price. It might be a quid. Alright.
Well, bacon sandwiches coming on.
Proper bacon sandwich.
With brown sauce?
Yeah.
Chef brown sauce from Ireland?
In a basket with trimmings.
In a basket?
With trimmings?
Oh my God, listen.
Alright.
Can't say better than that. You're going to put the cafe down the road out of business.
Cafe down the road out of business, but I might take it.
There you go. That's
Early
the Winslow offer of the week, right? I'd like to thank everyone out there for joining us. Don't forget you can find us on Twitter @ToffeeTV1. The YouTube channel is youtube.com/EFCTV. Make sure you go and watch all our videos in there. Join us for the Google Hangouts as well. We'll see you next time.
Hi, I'm Roberto Martinez and you're watching Toffee TV.